Given your experience with AWS, Azure, and GCP, how do you typically approach choosing the right cloud provider for a specific project or client need? And are there common scenarios where one excels over the other?
Yeah. I feel like I've gotten this at an interview
You probably have.
But I always tell them the first thing is your relationship with the platform that you're choosing. Do you have a partnership with the company? And then what are your constraints on budget? Does your leadership or organization value cost efficiency, or do they value the relationship that they have with them? If you're thinking about moving or migrating over to the cloud, Azure, AWS, GCP, whatever, and you only have one platform with one deal, you're probably going to go with that platform. But if you have two platforms or three platforms with competing rates at which they'll give you a discount for migrating over X amount of data or X amount of years worth of services to their platform, chances are you may go with that one, right? So if an org told me, hey, like, which one would you choose? Whoever gives you the best deal is probably what I would start with. And then secondly, I would think about what's the actual workload you're moving over there? Is it something that you're going to try to convert over to microservices? Is it just that you're about to move data over there for data analysis? Like, are you trying to have some type of serverless type of deal? Then I would consider the use case. But first, budget, relationship, and then use case, like in that order to me personally.
Bet, yeah, these definitely some good interview questions. So this is the follow-up.
Yeah.
Many organizations struggle with multi-cloud strategies. From your perspective, what are the biggest benefits and challenges of operating across multiple cloud environments?
Benefits. I personally don't think it's that big of a benefit for operating in a multi-cloud environment, unless, once again, it's related to budget. I don't think it's that big of a benefit when you're considering between Azure and AWS. I think those two are front runners for a reason. The services that they have across the platforms are comparable. The cost efficiency might be different depending on the platform. But I've really only ever seen companies say, hey, I want to move to GCP because they want to do some data analytics, some database stuff, or use BigQuery to pull in something, right? That's the only use case that I've seen consistently over the last several years. For Azure and AWS, people use that for whatever. But I don't think there's like a huge benefit for multi-cloud unless there's a specific service on each platform that you want to use or you have internal skills with. Like, and when I say internal skills, I mean you have people or engineers within your org that can maximize the tool that you're trying to use. And then also, if you just say, hey, I'm going to go all in and use multi-cloud, you're probably going to have to invest in engineers with that external skill set to manage on that cloud platform. So it's like, the use case has to make sense to me, but personally, like, no, I don't think it's that efficient unless you're like, I absolutely have to use Lambda with BigQuery. Like, bro, I'm going to look at you and I'm going to be like, probably not. Probably not.
Okay, so yeah, you're saying as them using multi-cloud as in like together.
Yeah.
And I know I view it as each cloud doing their own thing in the environment. That's how I kind of view it.
And then I'm like, well, then it depends on what the own thing is. Like, is it that you're just migrating data? Is it that you're migrating virtual machines? Or is it that you're migrating like some type of serverless or microservice architecture? Like, what is the thing that you need from the platform, and why can't you just do it all on one? Like, give me a succinct reason why you can't just put Kubernetes on there or something.
That's a good one. I think because a lot of companies probably eventually first went to AWS, but then they had all this old Microsoft stuff that they was using, which inevitably turned into, on the back end, to be in Azure.
Makes sense.
O365, SharePoint, all AD, all this different stuff is probably just still Azure based. And then, like I said, I don't know what they're using GCP for. They're using it, but then that comes into play when companies now are getting, well, you had Prisma that was the big dog, but now Wiz has kind of kicked them over. And so that's where I see that shining too, where, like you said, did you ever figure out, like, I remember we were talking about Wiz, what was it, a month or two ago?
Yeah.
Did you ever get your hands on it?
On the Wiz certification, no. If anybody's watching, I would definitely get my hands on a Wiz certification. At this point, I want to learn Splunk. I want to learn Splunk, so I'm going to learn Splunk right now, but like, if anybody's watching, I would get a Wiz certification. It's very valid, very prominently used tool at this point. I would pick it up, but not at this moment.
Yeah, I'm thinking, because it was one of the things I brought up in the one-on-one of like seeing if we was partners to get some more material and get the certification. So that's something I'm actually waiting on because I'm trying to see if their certs are like CrowdStrike. So like a lot of CrowdStrike stuff, CrowdStrike University, and you got to do it through them versus those things that's not gatekept like the AWS or Amazon and Microsoft and all those where you can go set all the stuff up and whatever, which is why I always tend to lean more towards people going the Azure route in a sense, like especially for like security operations. So like, bet instead of you setting up Elastic or something, go ahead and go set up Sentinel.
Yeah,
because you're seeing companies move to Sentinel, and then with Azure, they'll let you use Defender for a trial. They'll let you use all these different things. So now on your resume, you can say, "I know how to use Sentinel. I know how to use Defender. I know how to use Threat Explorer. I know how to use all this stuff." So you can technically go niche down and find roles that's only using Microsoft stuff.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to learn in 2025. There's a lot of tools that require you to have a relationship with the platform for you to get a community version of it. For instance, CrowdStrike, they require you to have a business email. Mm-hmm. I have a business email, and I did try to get access to CrowdStrike community or the trial version of it. But the point is you have to go through all of these loopholes for you to get access to a tool that companies ask you to have experience with for you to get a job. And I don't like that practice. Like, if you want a tool to be prominently known across the industry, it shouldn't be gatekept to people already in the industry. That's not how you raise the floor for skill, in my opinion. Things
I agree.
Like your Splunk, your Tenable, Nessus, you could just go grab those. You could just go pull them down, right? Your Terraform, your Azure AWS, you could just go grab that stuff and learn it yourself. And I think that's the beauty of the space. But these other more specific security tools, sometimes like it's just you got to work there to deal with it sometimes.
Yeah, and that's when people online would tell us like, "Hey, no, y'all gatekeeping." Like, no,
we can't. We literally can't share it with you, or we're gonna lose our job if we do the screen record.
The real gatekeeping is what we're talking about, where you can only access stuff if you work somewhere, and that's what I was like when we were talking earlier about the answer you gave is only something you will know with experience.
Exactly.
It's just one of those things. Like some of the stuff that CrowdStrike does, you would never know about unless you actually interacted with them, the platform, and it's why you can go get. So I remember we had to do this like when I worked for Optiv, we had to get these. Everybody that worked in the SOC had to get the certified, what is it, CCFA, I think, or CFA, Certified CrowdStrike Falcon Administrator. All of us had to go get that certification just for a selling point, I guess, for some type of contract.
Yeah, like companies, though, like even for some of the certs that I do have that I do renew, sometimes the company will ask you to, they'll ask you to, for your certification credentials so that they can pair it with their organization to display within the org and with the company is partnered with that they have X amount of engineers certified with the platform for their relationship. It doesn't benefit you at all at being a certification holder, but